Guys, have you ever gone on vacation or been surrounded by people that you love the most, doing an activity that you actually really enjoy, yet life still feels unsatisfying? Your experience just feels flat and dull and just kind of like you're going through the motions, and there is no depth to your experience. This is so common, and when this occurs, most people think that they need to do something different, that maybe they need to change up their friend group, or maybe they need a new car, or they need to go on vacation, or maybe get a new partner. Maybe my partner's the problem. Maybe my partner isn't interesting anymore. That's why there's no chemistry. That's why there's no excitement or life in our relationship. But none of these things are the actual ultimate truth. The truth is, the real reason behind your dissatisfaction and your lack of fulfillment and enjoyment is a lack of presence. Being present simply means that you're aware of the energy in this very moment. Like, try it right now. Are you actually aware of your beingness, of a sense of presence in this moment? Or are you purely caught up in your mind? Okay, this is how it is. The HeartMath Institute and the Institute of Noetic Sciences down in the States have both done studies on two types of intelligence: mind intelligence and heart intelligence. Now, they don't necessarily label it these ways. This is my interpretation of the information and of my experience after 10 years of studying presence. Mind intelligence refers to all the functions you can think of that are associated with the brain. So, labeling things or interpreting situations, knowledge, facts, thinking, all of those things happen in your mind. But when you're living in your mind, you're disconnected from the moment. You're disconnected from presence. Heart intelligence, on the other hand, it's not about thinking. It's not about awareness that comes through knowing what's going on. Heart intelligence is all about consciousness. It's about energy. It's sensing the world with something beyond the mind. It's about presence. Heart intelligence comes alive when you get out of your mind and into the moment. Now, when we're young and our brains or our mind intelligence isn't quite formed, right? We haven't built up a lot of intellectual knowledge. We don't know the names of everything around us. We haven't experienced everything around us either. Our minds tend to be quieter because we're so busy exploring life, right? Okay, so for example, when you're young, you might see this object, but you're not just labeling it mug, and you're not just taking for granted that there's probably tea or coffee in there and writing it off from a mind perspective. You actually look at it. You don't know what this color is. You don't know what these sensations are, maybe what this is made out of. You don't even know what's in the mug, so maybe you're going to pay attention to what it tastes like and what it feels like in your mouth. Your heart intelligence or your presence is so much more alive, and as a result, your experiences are full of life. But as we get older and we have more intellectual knowledge, labels, and experiences with life, we kind of take things for granted. We start functioning on autopilot, and we stop actually paying attention and interacting with what is in front of us. When was the last time you were actually living in the moment that you exist in? When you took a shower this morning, were you actually in the shower? Were you actually present and aware of being in the shower and what it feels like to have the water hit your skin, and what your whole energetic experience was of smelling the rosemary shampoo? Or did you bring your boss into the shower with you again, or your workload, or your to-do list? Were you living in your mind and completely unaware of what was going on in the moment? It's so easy to become absent-minded and to lack presence in activities or circumstances that you've done once or twice. Your mind already knows, or your body already knows what to expect, so your mind just takes over. You run on autopilot and you don't have to be aware of anything in your environment. So you can drive to work and be so consumed by the thinking mind and mind intelligence that you have no clue what happened on the way there in your actual environment. You never noticed a dog. You never noticed the changing colors of the trees. You didn't notice the old lady standing on the sidewalk selling the flowers. You're completely checked out because these experiences aren't new to you. So the mind takes over and you get out of the heart and out of presence. Now, this becomes problematic for two reasons. Number one, your existence becomes quite negative. And number two, if it's not negative, your existence becomes dull and dissatisfying and kind of just flat. Like nothing makes you feel alive anymore. So, number one, how does living without presence make you become negative? Because most of the time, for whatever reason, most of our thinking mind isn't just full of sunshine and rainbows and puppy dog memes, right? It's not, our minds don't tend to hold on to positive thought. They tend to hold on to negative things, worry, stress, and anxiety. And when our entire existence is consumed by mental activity, and that mental activity has a tendency towards being negative, our entire experience of life becomes tainted by that negativity. For a long time in the world of psychology, people looked at that circumstance and they realized negative thoughts are the root of a lot of problem. So what did they decide to do? Tell everyone to change their negative thoughts into positive thoughts so that now the experiences that you have will be positive, and that should solve all of your problems. And that works, and that's really helpful, but only to a point. Because when your experiences are positive instead of negative, you're still living life through the lens of your mind intelligence. You still lack presence. And now everything is tainted with a hue of positivity, right? You have your rose-colored glasses on, but you're still wearing glasses and you're still disconnected from the actual experience of being in the moment. You still lack the aliveness of presence and of heart intelligence. Okay, so that brings us to problem number two with mind activity, is that everything is still dull and dissatisfying, even if your mind is positive. So I'm gonna draw a picture of this. So hopefully this helps. Okay. Can you guys see this? This is you, and this is your mind activity. And this is life outside of your mind. Now, when let's say that you're in the most positive circumstance you can imagine, surrounded by people that you love, and you should be feeling alive and fully content and satisfied. But what happens for most people is that they're looking out into their environment and they're recognizing, oh yeah, I'm in nature, there's a tree, there's a bunch of flowers, here's my favorite people, we're listening to my favorite music, and the mind is narrating everything. There's so much thinking going on that the person is experiencing this amazing life experience through the lens of wordy thought. So mind intelligence is still taking over. And even though it's positive and telling you positive stories, there's still a buffer between your experience of life and actual life itself. Like your wordy thought creates a barrier to what's actually going on. When you can dissolve the wordy thoughts, dissolve that barrier between you and the experience of life, and you can just be one with it. You're no longer talking about it using knowledge and interpretation and labels and facts. You can just be and experience. All of your senses come alive, and your experience of the moment is so much more deep. Okay, this is why as we get older, our experiences of life become more dull, and we think we need new experiences. We think we need to go to new places all the time, or meet new people, or divorce our partner and get a new one because this one's become dull and uninteresting. That's not actually the case. It's not the partner. You don't need to go to new places necessarily in order to become alive again. You just have to get out of your mind and back into heart space, back into presence. Presence is the answer to reigniting the depth and connection that you want in life. So if you think about it right now, how much of your life is lived through the mind, is lived through the mind intelligence, where you experience everything through a lens of wordy thought, positive or negative, or even neutral. If you're just talking about the mug and, oh, it's a mug and there's tea in it. I'm still so caught up in this, I can even feel my energy right now being in my mind. But when that goes away and I pick this up and I don't label it, and I'm just curious and looking as though I've never seen it before, my heart intelligence turns on. I become so much more present and everything becomes alive. It's so cool, you guys. It takes some practice because our culture is a very mental culture. So turning on our senses and reigniting our connection with presence doesn't just come right away. So in the next video, I'll go a lot deeper into what a practice of presence actually looks like. Let's wrap this up. Presence is being aware of this moment. It's starting to reconnect with life as it is, feeling it, being in the energy of it instead of thinking about life. The result? Well, I don't want to totally describe it. I want you to start to experience it. Check out the next video in this mini-series to dive into a daily practice of presence, of reigniting your heart intelligence in order to live a more deeply fulfilled, connected existence. That's it. See you in the next video.